What's up, my people, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Diamond, and this is the place where personal finance intersects with the real world to help you achieve your financial goals. And today, I want to talk about your emergency fund. Have you been trying to build an emergency fund and it seemed to be taking forever? You can't get it fully funded because every time you get a little money in there, something happened and you keep having to dip into it. Well, that's what we're about to solve in this video. I want to give you 5 tips to boost your emergency fund, get that thing funded super quick. So let's jump into it. The first thing I want to do is to define what your emergency fund is. Because when I was trying to get out of debt, I also was trying to build an emergency fund. And building an emergency fund is a great thing. It's a requirement. You have to have one. But sometimes we're trying to build this emergency fund that's going to be so big and lavish. It's going to be all encompassing. And we're trying to put up 6, 8, 10, 12 months worth of income or worth of expenses. Meanwhile, we're also trying to pay down debt. We got life happening to us. We got all kinds of things coming at us, and we're trying to build up this emergency fund. And that can cause problems because now as you're trying to save money, you have things pecking at you that's making you tap into it. So what I did was I broke my emergency fund down into 2 different categories. I defined what a fully funded emergency fund was going to look like for me. And for me, that was 6 months. And then I decided I was going to do a smaller emergency fund because back when I was getting out of debt, I was weighed down with a lot of payments. And quite frankly, I didn't see myself being able to save up those 6 months. It would have took years to get it done. So what I did was I got a smaller emergency fund going. And that's what I recommend for you. Pick a number, something that is there and it's going to cover the most common type of emergencies, things that truly really aren't emergencies, but they're an emergency if you don't have no money. So come up with a small amount and then focus on that first. What I did was got that done. Then I turned my attention to my debt and I got after the debt. And I made a video about some of the mistakes I made on my journey of getting out of debt. You can check that out. I'll leave a link to it down in the description. But that's the first thing. Get a smaller number. Set a smaller target. And now we can jump into these tips. The first thing I want you to do is look at your bank statements. Scrub your bank statements. Wherever you have your debit card linked to, that's the account I'm talking about. Go pull up the last 2 months and look through it with the highlighter. I want you to highlight everything on there that you cannot remember what it was. And what this is going to help you do, it's going to help you identify some things in your life that you're spending money on that really don't hold much weight to you. Because if you can't remember what you spent that money on, even after you look at it on paper, that's probably an area that you can look to save some money. And let's be real, saving money, that's creating an emergency fund. So we got to find some money in your life. And that's what we're about to get into with all these tips. So that's the first step. Scrub your bank statements. The second thing I want you to do is simple. Sell some stuff. Look around your house. Clean out those closets. Go through the garage. This is serious. Now, some of y'all might laugh at me. And some people may say, well, I don't have nothing to sell. Yes, you do. Look around the house, you can find some stuff to sell. And you can put this stuff up on Facebook Marketplace, Etsy. It's a lot of different places that you can sell this stuff. You can do it the old-fashioned way and open up your garage, put out a table and put out a yard sign, have an old-fashioned yard sale. But this is a way for you to come up with some money quick. Years ago when I was relocating, I put together a yard sale and I had never done one before. And it was literally just random stuff that, quite frankly, I could have just donated, right? But I decided I'm going to sell it, get some money to help with the move. So I did this deal and I made like over $1,000 just by doing a yard sale. And if you don't think you have stuff to sell, here's a little exercise that I came across when I was studying the minimalist movement. And I'm not a minimalist, but I did study it because I like information. So here's something that I'm going to take right from their playbook. Walk around your house and tag anything that you haven't used in the last 6 months, right? Then grab another tag, put a sticky on everything that you don't think you're going to use in the next 6 months. And anything that you've tagged that has 2 tags on it, most likely can be sold. If you haven't used it in the last 6 months, you don't think you're going to use it in the next 6 months, that's a full year that you're holding on to stuff that has value. And you can get rid of that stuff and use that money to some of the more immediate goals, like boosting up that emergency fund. If you like what you're hearing, click that like button and let's keep going. The third thing I want you to do is to clean up your budget. And before we can clean up the budget, we need to create a budget. So if you are not living on a budget right now, This is something that you absolutely have to do if you want to boost your emergency fund, if you want to have control of your finances, if you want to succeed with money. You have to have a budget. Everybody has to have a budget. The place that you work for, they have a budget. That's how they know how much to pay you. And that's how they ensure the funds is there to pay you when that time comes. Everybody needs a budget. And I know a lot of folks don't like it. They say it's restrictive. I made a whole video about why people don't like budgets, but you have to have one. So get over it, because that is going to be you taking control of your money. The budget is you telling your money where to go. So I want you to get a budget. If you already have one, it's time to clean it up. Because what people sometimes forget is when you're doing a budget, no one is forcing you to put things on there. This is your information. This is your budget. When I'm doing my budget, I can put whatever I want to put on there. If I want to blow half my check, I can just write that in the budget. So you can put whatever you want because it's yours. So here's what I want you to do. If you have a budget, clean it up. This is the time to look through it and scrub that thing and lock it down. Cut out unnecessary spending. Reduce how much you're going out to eat. Reduce your grocery bill if you can find ways to save in the kitchen. Like, find some ways to save some money on that budget, because this is, again, money you can use to boost that emergency fund. The longer it takes to build that emergency fund, the less likely it is that you're going to hit that goal. Because just because you have a fantastic goal of having an emergency fund, that don't mean that life is going to play by your rules and not hit you. It absolutely is going to keep coming at you. So you got to get this thing built fast. Number 4 is unique, because this is something that we have today as I'm recording this video in 2022 that we didn't have, or wasn't as prevalent as it is today, as it was, 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And that's the gig economy. Because after you've tightened the budget and canceled some subscriptions and had a yard sale and sold some stuff, after you've done all that and you still are coming up short, well, again, the only way you can have an emergency fund, the only way you can meet your financial goals is to create some more income. And that's number 4. Create some additional income. And like I said, we got some unique opportunities here in 2022 as I'm recording this video. And that is the gig economy. The gig economy is straight up simple. You can jump on the App Store on whatever phone platform you're using, and there's plenty of apps that you can download, and within a week you can start earning money. And that's things from delivering food to renting your car out, renting an extra space out in your home, all type of ways that you can make additional funds. So the gig economy is here and is yours for the taking. This is an amazing way for you to create some additional income that can jumpstart that emergency fund. So don't be afraid of a little extra work. Jump in the gig economy and make it happen. Number 5 had the single biggest impact on me building my emergency fund, and I'm sure it's going to do the same thing for you. And earlier I said, define your emergency fund. And I recommend you create 2 different emergency funds. A smaller one, something you can create relatively quick to help you as you pay off your debt, and then creating a larger emergency fund once you have more of your money available to you. So number 5, if you want to get that big emergency fund built up, we're talking 6, 8, 12 months, whatever you deem is necessary. If you want that large emergency fund, pay off debt. This is number 5. This is what I did. Created a small emergency fund, then focused on my debt. Pay off your debt. Because those payments that I was making to different creditors was money that I earned, I made, but I was unable to keep, and I was unable to use that money to fund my goals. So I had to focus on this debt and just get it gone. And I highly recommend it. I use the debt snowball method to pay off my debt. I made a video on that as well, so you can check that out. The snowball versus the avalanche, 2 very popular methods for getting out of debt. But quite frankly, it really don't matter which method you use, as long as you commit to it and you lock in, you stay focused, and you get it done. Because once you pay off this debt, now all your money is yours to do with what you want. So, an exercise for you. Add up all of your debt payments, all the minimum monthly payments that you have in your life right now. Add that up. Figure out what that is every single month. And now once you have that number, I want you to think about what you could do if you could redirect that money into goals that you have today, not send it off to pay for things you did yesterday. That's how you're going to get that fully funded emergency fund. Here's the truth. And as unfair as this is something that I've experienced. I've heard other people talk about it, and here it go. When I was broke, it was very difficult to get started. It was very difficult to build my emergency fund. And that's because when I was broke and living paycheck to paycheck, everything that happened to me was an emergency. Day to day, I was having emergencies because no matter how big or small it was or how inexpensive something may have seemed, when you don't have the money, it becomes a big deal. Now you fast forward and I get out of debt and I build the emergency fund. I'm locked in. So I have a nice little emergency fund now, and something that I've noticed, and I really feel like this is unfair, but it's as if the emergency fairy has left the building and just decided to leave me alone. I don't have nearly as many emergencies or nearly as many things going wrong in my life now that I actually could cover a few things versus when I didn't have the money to cover it. One thing after another. It was like you can't get ahead. Every time I tried to take a step forward, I get knocked back. It was like they didn't want me to start. Something didn't want me to start. And that's why the tips in this video is very important, because you want to get going and get it done fast, because you want to knock it out before you get knocked off your rocker and it takes away your momentum, takes away your breath, and make you feel like you can't succeed. You definitely can succeed. Now let's recap real quick. I talked about 5 things to boost your emergency fund because I want you to do it fast. The first thing was to scrub your bank accounts. Go back 2 months, scrub those accounts. Find expenses that you can get rid of. Find subscriptions that you can cancel because you're going to put more money back in your pocket. The second tip I talked about was selling some stuff. Use the platforms that's out there to your advantage and sell stuff that you can get rid of and you won't miss it, because that's more money you're going to have to put into that emergency fund. The third thing I talked about was create a budget. And if you already have a budget, it's time to clean up the budget. Tighten it up, because again, we're trying to find money. The fourth thing was to take advantage of all the opportunities we have with the gig economy and go out and create some additional income. The fifth thing we talked about was to pay off your debt. That's the ultimate goal, because now you pay off that debt, all the money you make is yours, and you get to decide and help it pay for your future instead of having it pay for your past. So those are 5 things you can do to boost your emergency fund. If you like this kind of content, you're in the right place. I want you to subscribe to the channel, click the like button, and make sure your notification bell is lit, because I'm coming back with more information every week. My name is Diamond. Peace.